Hi, everybody. It's Sunday afternoon. And if you're in Britain, it's Sunday night. Shouldn't you be asleep right now? They all go to sleep. Never mind, my players all logged off. So we are back from Christmas and holiday and all that other fun stuff. So we are getting back together with the Real Mouser and crew. We'll just jump into it. Let's go say hi to the players, I guess. That's probably the best way to do it. I do have to say there's something that about it being pre-recorded makes kind of fun and stuff. Wait a minute. Look at that. Wake up, plot. Plot, wake up. Plot, plot, plot. Don't be doing what Simon did yesterday.
And the week before.
Oh, what? Makes me feel bad like I am
fell asleep
boring.
on stream.
You've
That's
got
okay.
shield mode on, mate.
All right. So when we last left you guys, we were all like, I don't remember. That was last year. You guys were you were going to a small village because the Church of Elal had lost contact with one of their temples out there, and they would ask you to go out and investigate it to see what happened to the temple, and hopefully nothing bad, and report back when you can. And that's where we're at. So we're actually on a airship headed that direction. We'll kind of fast forward. It's about a 6-day travel in the air for you guys. Is there anything you guys want to specifically do in those 6 days? And we will fast forward.
No, let's just fast forward. Let's unless anything happens and sky dragons turn up, then
I'll shoot them. They'll be fine.
right, okay, you'll shoot them. Okay. We can do a Wayne's World.
Right.
Think
Right. It goes like this, doesn't it? Doesn't it go like that? I don't know.
I think the only thing I want to do is just keep an eye on Ziggy and make sure that there don't seem to be any too terrible lingering effects of the curse.
Right.
Down here.
But there's still that recurring dream you have, Zig. It's always reoccurring. That seems to be the only thing that seems to be recurring for you.
Yes, says Ziggy, as the player goes to look at Discord to remind himself of what the dream is. Go.
I mean, that's how long it's been.
Oh, Jesus. Not even a pinned message, Jesus.
Do you want it back? I've got it. Just real quick. I can get it for you. I think. Where is it?
There's the other one you said you find yourself running.
Right, that's it.
I mean, to be fair, jogging is a nightmare, so...
Right?
Yeah, well, what do you expect?
Okay,
Joggers are the people
right.
who find all the dead bodies. That tells you everything you need to know.
Right? Absolutely. Other than that, and if you guys want to role play any of that, we can do that now. Otherwise, we can kind of fast forward those 6 days, unless there's anything specific you want to do, plot, create any holy items or anything like that. I don't know if you have that ability yet.
I don't think I do.
Or what you want to do with that, if you want to kind of go for that.
No, I think I'm good other than just keeping an eye on Ziggy. I mean, I'm happy to roleplay through something if Ziggy is having issues, but if he's keeping it to himself, then I wouldn't necessarily know about it.
You won't go budging?
No, I won't go poking.
All right, right.
Poke the Zig.
Poke the mouse.
Yes, poke the mouse. See what happens.
Get shot in the head. All right, so then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and fast forward those 6 days that you guys are on there. During those 6 days, you know, that you guys do your normal religious things with Elal and things like that, prayers and those discussions and things like that. Now,
wait till
There might be some
he
place
does
where I
his
can do
prayers,
the
and as
training.
soon as he's finished, I'll just go ditto.
Ditto. Amen. As you guys are coming up on the end of the 5th night to the beginning of the 6th morning, Captain Ottermek Dolaris, who is the captain of this, kind of comes down to your cabin to hear and there's a knock on your door and he goes, Master Tahir.
I open up the door.
Sexy
Straight out of
music
bed.
starts playing.
Say again?
Sexy music starts playing.
It is the Blood Doctor, after all. You need to see this. And he kind of turns and starts heading back up to where he goes up the stairs and heads up to the top deck.
I'll grab my halberd and head on it.
Where are you, Ziggy, and where are you, Marcus? Are you guys this is like early morning? It's like the sun, where you guys are in the air with the airship. The sun comes up a lot earlier than it does for most people,
I'll
specifically.
Probably have acquired a hammock and hung it in Tahir's room, so I can protect him while he sleeps.
But yeah, then the sexy music was playing.
So yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, little spinning globes and things like that.
The sun's rising, so Marcus is actually on the deck doing his katas, his basic training maneuvers.
Okay, very cool. So Marcus, while you're up there training and stuff, like you see the captain kind of go down, and you're kind of in your zen. A few minutes later, Tahir and Ziggy kind of make their way up behind the captain, and he goes over to the port side of the ship where you can kind of see down the village, and he goes, "That is of concern." And you guys kind of look over the port, and down below, as the ship is starts to come down and starts its landing, you can see the village of Kaltor is in shambles. Smoke is rising from various buildings. There's a gray haze kind of over the whole area from the smoke and the fire. He goes, and the captain looks, he goes, "We're not going to land there. We're going to land about a mile out from there to avoid any potential issues." I do believe they were raiders.
Say in smoke and destroy buildings.
Right, and it's just not like one or two buildings. It's like the whole village was set to fire. And it's been burning for a very long time, at least 6 days, as it kind of like dwindles down, and you guys can see the swindling of smoke kind of still raising. And you guys, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, it kind of like touches down outside of the village. It's about a mile walk. Go ahead.
Before it touches down, can I sort of do some sort of observation? I'm going to see whether there was a mass movement of people or horses, or what direction. If there was an attack and it was a mass horse attack or anything like that, can I see, because we're up so high, we might be able to see a pattern through the woods or through fields or things where somebody might have attacked or where people have run away from.
Well, like most larger villages, small towns and larger towns, there is definitely a place where airships, there's an airship landing that you normally can land on, right? But as you can see the snaking of road, you can see trails leading in, like normal trails, nothing like a mass movement, kind of disappearing into the fields. You can see the fields, but there doesn't seem to be a mass movement of like people fleeing the area as it starts to land.
Okay.
Zig, you want to do anything? Plot, what about you?
No, I'm good. By the way, stream chat's emote only. Or is that just me?
That's just you, because I've turned it off.
You've turned me off. Oh, okay.
That's okay.
No, it's okay, cool.
I've done it again, and I've also got the other one off as well.
On the Twitch stream as well?
No, they just watch it and they help me take care of it from different directions.
Okay, I didn't know whether I had to have it up on mine.
No, you don't have to have it up.
The only thing I want to do is tell the captain that since they were probably raiders, they've probably been and gone, but they might have left a force behind to see if anyone comes to investigate. If you spot any trouble at all, just take off, and I'll arrange a rendezvous point with him if he has to do that. And somewhere
Well,
where you can
he does suggest that you know, as you guys are kind of making these plans, you know, you can see where he's pointed. There's like a large field about a mile east of the village. But then he agrees with you, and he says, you know, he points and goes, there's like looks like a portion of the land, like a hill. I don't want to say a hill, but like a hillock where it kind of like the ground kind of rises, and then it drops off in a sharp cliff and
An
continues.
escarpment.
An escarpment. Thank you. That's if they have to flee, it's northeast of where they're at and back about 2 miles, and they'll land there and wait for you.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, Zig, anything from you?
No, but I am thinking to himself, that does not look like raiders. They'll hit and run and leave. That's been destroyed by somebody working through building to building. There's
Decimated.
more going on than just a raid.
Right. You guys begin. You guys land. The captain and his crew kind of make this the airship. I don't want to say anchored, but I guess that's the best way to do. They anchor it to the ground to keep it from moving. They let you disembark. They help you disembark, and you guys head in towards the village of Kaldur. It's a relatively easy hike for you. It's only a mile. It's over very not really rough ground. There's a couple of copses of trees here and there. Where you guys are at in in the Southern Realms is the northern portion of what was once called was once part of an ancient forest that now has been completely obliterated due to weather and things like that. And this whole area in the physical world as we know it would be very similar to the area of the Serengeti just before it goes into the deeper portions of Africa and the jungles there. So it's almost like the Serengeti, but not as dry. If that makes sense. So it's really flat and there's sparse trees here and there. And you guys make your way there. You guys come across the first couple of fields. And as you do, you start to notice that the water that's in the fields that's still kind of there as it's kind of sunk down into these puddles is this deep blackish residue. As you guys make your way through there, you're staying on top of the mounds of the field, so you don't splosh into this ichory looking water. And you finally make it to the outside of the village, and from what you can see, the buildings themselves look like they have been hit with a very powerful weapon of fire of some sort. The closest thing that you could ever think of is perhaps a dragon's fire at best. And we're losing Zig.
But
I swear to fucking God.
It must be my voice. It puts him to sleep. It's almost like ASMR for him.
Saturday last night, and it's just happened again. As soon as I start relaxing and playing the game, I just start dozing.
Sit up. I don't know. So you guys make it out, and you guys can see the village. The village itself, like I said, has been obliterated. There are still a couple of houses that are still standing, but for the majority, these buildings have been the rock has been turned into slag. There's very few, if very little, or any of the wooden roofs or buildings still standing. Those that are standing look like they were gouted out by flames and stuff like that. And you can see kind of in the center of the town, where it sits inside like this ring of a road and stuff like that, you can see the temple, and it is a blackened, ruined. While many of the walls still stand, they are cracked. They are cracked with fire. Tendrils of smoke continue to issue up from charcoals and things like that. The roof is collapsed and predominantly just charred and gone. It's the whole temple just feels like, yeah, it's just, there's a sense of dread around it. And as you guys make your way into the village towards this, This you see bodies that are scattered about carelessly. Some are completely charred, i.e. they have been hit with fire and it's like they've just been frozen in time and stuff like that. They aren't smoking anymore, but they are definitely charred, like really bad meat.
Ziggy, you were
and-
going to say something?
I was going to ask something.
Yeah, go for it. I was just giving you the description of what you're seeing.
You said the stone was melted to slag.
In some places, yes.
What direction is this heat come from?
Give me an intelligence check.
Okay.
Can I also do an alchemy check on this black substance in the water that we saw in the fields?
Absolutely. Give me an alchemy
I
check.
only rolled one. There we go. 52 with an intelligence of intelligence 85. 52, 62, 72. 3 successes. No, 4 successes.
Ziggy, you smart?
Hmm?
You smart?
Yeah.
No, I've got no idea.
Utaku's thick as pig shit. Well, I played him, he's not, but yeah, I played that one. He's streetwise, he's Ziggy.
No idea on the alchemy roll.
Yeah, it's when you get down there. So so what was what's your alchemy skill?
52,
And you rolled a 70.
77.
You could always re-roll, you know.
Don't know why that's doing what it's doing. Turn that off for a second. While you don't know exactly what this is, as you kind of get down, it doesn't have like an oily feel to it. There's nothing like putridness about it. It just looks like the water, as you know, the fields at some point were full of water, and this now looks like it's got an irony smell about it, right? As it's
like a soot, like a sort of soot.
like a soot combined with something else that just it's really hard for you to actually tell exactly what it is.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's not the sort of chemicals I was expecting. So, okay, fair enough. I'll I'm sort of going to follow the pattern that Ziggy's looking at. See if I can work out sort of not so much where it came from, but what it was actually aimed at. Is that possible? Just by doing an observation, just going, well, there's lines here, there's lines there, there's
Right.
Ziggy's standing here and he's looking at it, and I'm thinking, well, hang on, it went sort of that way, not where it came from, but it went that way.
Right. So Ziggy, right? No, it did. How'd you do on your intelligence check?
4 successes.
So you guys are kind of like, Marcus, as you're kind of making your way up there, you kind of hesitate for a little bit and kind of try to figure out what's in the water. And as you catch up to Ziggy and to here, Ziggy's kind of like doing an eye spot. This kind of looks like the fires themselves. It almost feels like an impossibility. The fire came from every direction, and it doesn't look like it came from like straight on, right? It's more of a downward effect.
Right. So something was like made the blast sort of came that way.
Well, in a downward effect.
Say a flying creature breathed fire down on the city, on the town.
That would be the most logical of the concepts of it.
We're gonna have to kill a fucking dragon.
Question about Kralis.
Yeah.
Lore. Are dragons magical creatures? Or are they just biological oddities?
They are biological entities of extreme intelligence.
Okay, cool.
They are not. Yeah, that's a very good question. They are not one of those ones that is like
So you could have a dragon that's very clever, very smart, and very strong, but has no magic.
Oh no, but so they're not magical creatures, as in like unicorns or those kind of things. They're a species of a different species altogether. They are capable of wielding magic. They can worship the gods. They can do all these other kind of things because of their intelligence, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for their intelligence, they would just be considered beasts. Now there are other beasts like hydras that are dragonkin. They are beasts. They're not dragon. They're not dragons. Dragons are an entire different species altogether.
What about wyverns?
Wyverns are also a dragonkin, and they're not as intelligent. They don't have the capability of using magic or summoning any of that other stuff. They are by themselves, all intents and purposes, a entity,
Beast.
but they are considered a beast.
Right.
I'd like to cast detection, specifically looking for magic, and I'm trying to see if there's any faint lingering magical traces in the area, like whether this was done by tech or magic. Or...
Absolutely, go for it.
So let me roll. Where's my tab? There we go.
That map we've got up on Owlbear, is that where we are?
Correct. So where you guys are in Owlbear, the actual city where you guys are at, well, this is it, but where you guys are actually standing is in this area right in here. If you want to see it on Owlbear, that's where this main temple is. But this is just, the village is much larger than this, but this is the central point of where all the activity is going to happen.
No, that's a 95.
It's not a critical failure. It's just a 95. It's not a 96 or above, right? You didn't critically fail it. If you want to re-roll it, you can. You just have to spend the heroic luck to do so.
Yeah, I'll spend a heroic luck, and let's give this another shake. That took a while to come through.
Well, and I blame that on the fact that it's got to go to their server. We activate it, and it's got to go to its server, and it's got to pop back out and stuff like that. How many successes is that for you?
None. That's a fail.
Is that a fail? How much of how bad of a failure is it?
0. It's like not even a degree of failure.
It's
like my skill's 70.
So it's like right on the line, right?
Yeah.
You don't pick up any any inklings or feelings of that this may have been a magically induced. It
just is.
It just is, right? None of you have ever really ran into dragons. You might have read about dragons at some point. There's the new dice really hates me. It hates everybody, man. The few things that you've read about dragons, where you're at in this area, in this region of the world, is known for fire dragons, right? So it's not impossible, but if it was dragon fire, then even then it wouldn't be magical in source. It would be a natural source. It'd be no different than a gunship literally having a plasma cannon or fire cannon just raining fire down on this thing. Again, so it's one of two things. It's either a couple of dragons swooping through and demolishing it, or it's a couple of ships with fire cannons kind of just torching the whole thing from the sky.
Okay, we lost Simon again. What I used to do when I used to fall asleep in class was take a fork and just sort of poke it into my thigh a bit until it hurt, and that would keep me awake.
Okay, but you're a bit far to reach with the fork.
Sticky with the fork.
I'm just saying, I've got a lot of sticks. We could make a really long poking stick, and I could just poke my way up to Wakefield.
Well, his idea was this: is that I actually
the camera,
right? Is that I actually send him like a electrical collar that he attaches to himself at night, and every time he goes to sleep, I press it, it wakes him up.
Yeah, or one of those the wireless vibrators.
He's not using one of them on me.
Just saying.
I'm trying to drink my tea.
Yeah, but see, and the thing is, the bad thing is, if he actually had an electrical collar, every time he did a pun, I just zap him.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to help yourself with
just
something painful,
zap.
would you?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I just zap.
You know what, though? I'd probably get to enjoy the punishment.
All right, so what do you guys want to do?
I'm going to actually completely ignore the temple. If the rest of the priests want to go look at that, that's fine. But I'm looking for survivors first and foremost.
So, as you've made your way into the center portion of the of this town, like I said, you've seen a number of bodies, and everything's just people running or people trying to escape this kind of this disaster. There are, but beyond that, there are those dead that seem to have resisted something. They are here and there. You can see one holds onto a bloodstained sword or spear. There are people run through with spears, swords, body parts missing, as though they were attacked. The whole village was attacked, and things like that. You do, as you're kind of like wandering looking at the ruins of this village. All three of you, give me a charisma check. We'll see who finds it.
I rolled 1d10. Did I?
Yeah, someone rolled a single d10.
Yeah, that was me. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. Let's see who gets the lowest, the total number of successes. So Marcus has got 30, Zig's got 24, and Plot.
Yeah, just waiting for my dice roller to catch up. It's frozen while it's still rolling that d10.
You rolled a 6 on the d10.
I'll take it.
34, 44, 54. Okay.
Well, I can re-roll it for you over here. I'm on your game.
Yeah, this is just.
So you rolled a 10. You rolled a
slow
15.
for me.
What's really cool about it though, Plot, is you don't have to keep hitting the dice. You can go to the right side and just hit your re-roll, and it'll re-roll it for you.
Yeah.
So that helps. I don't know if that did. So you got a 15 when you did that. So how many
15,
successes is that?
8.
Zig, how many did you get?
And me 5.
And Marcus? You're
No, Sam.
muted. You're muted, Graham. You're muted.
My apologies for that.
No worries.
So I rolled a 30.
Right.
And I've got 65 in my charisma.
Right, so you got 3.
I got 3, so it's 10. It's every 10, right?
Yeah, it's every 10, so 6 minus 3 basically. So luck is always with you, Tahir, as you're and unfortunately this time not so much. As you're kind of wandering, as you guys are like kind of in a group kind of looking around and seeing all this destruction, you kind of notice off to the side, Tahir, what looks like a child, kind of like just wobbling back and forth near a building.
Okay. I'll head over to the kid and sort of squat down on my hunches.
As you get closer and closer to it, you notice that it's missing its left arm. And as you turn there, and the closer you get, you now recognize the sharp-pointed ears of a non-human. It's about the size of a child. Their hair is mangled and distorted, but you can see the one ear pointed up, and their left arm is missing.
So it's a series, is it?
And Elwyn.
Elwyn. Yeah, they're
Elwyn.
the short ones.
Yeah, they're the shorter ones.
Okay, I'm going to cast.
The wound itself. So the wound itself looks like it's scabbed over and kind of cauterized in a sense, right? It's not bleeding currently.
I'm going to cast Cure Wounds anyway because that'll just that'll cure the actual wound itself. It won't necessarily regrow the limb, but it'll deal with any infection possibility, I assume, and stop any pain. So I'm going to cast Cure Wounds, and let me give this dice roller another go.
As you go to approach, and you guys kind of like surround this Elwyn, it's murmuring in this almost incoherent language, and just it's kind of just like it does not
Simon.
like you. Let's see about me.
Yeah.
Look, it likes me.
Yeah, it hates me. Okay. Can I heroic like that?
Yeah, I'll just let me see. Let me reroll your dice. Yeah, so it must be you.
Yeah.
Because I keep getting
Change
low
the colour.
50s.
Change the colour. Yes.
Change the color.
Ziggy,
Yup.
yeah, do you reckon we should, while he's dealing with this person, this creature, do you think we should move out a little bit further out to see how far people have got? Do you get what I mean? Move further out along this line to see whether we can find any other people or find out where the furthest person fell. What do you think?
I think it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah. Whereabouts are we, Tolaris?
That's better. You guys are literally so. I guess we can go to the combat map. Pull this out just a little bit. You all are essentially so. You guys made your way up through here.
Mm-hmm.
So we are to here.
Look
like
at
it.
that! Look at that! You're up to there. And you guys started wandering away from the
Center section.
the center section. Let me draw it red. So you guys kind of made your way. I don't want that. Stop. I want a pen. Give me that. Thank you. You guys have made your way into here, and then you guys. This is where the temple is here, and then you kind of just started making your ways, and you found the this Elwyn kind of like in this alleyway between these houses right here.
What's the big building with the dome we walked past?
The big one, the one that would have had a big dome, it kind of looks like someone of importance, right? Possibly the mayor or the council building or something like that. It is definitely of someone of some importance.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the guy with the Cure Wounds. That was 3 successes. No, 4 successes. So that's 15 plus 1 for each success, is it? So that's 18 points of healing.
Okay. Ziggy, do you reckon we should go and have a look what's here? Don't know whether I've got the right tool now.
If you just use the normal hand tool for grab and move things on the map, you use the right mouse key, your laser pointer will come up.
How's that?
Yeah, that works.
Yep. Oh, your name's coming up as well.
Oh, right. Okay. So there, what do you reckon we should go and see what that is?
Yep. Lead on.
Okay. So Ziggy and I are going to go over towards there.
Okay.
It might be some sort of building or public building or something.
Stop it, Ziggy.
We're going to take away your drawing on the map privileges.
I don't think you can.
No, but I can kick you. No, I can't. I can't stop you from drawing. But understand that if I have to zoom out, that actually comes out on the stream. So just be aware of that.
It's not like people haven't seen drawings of.
I know, but you know, I'm trying to run something of a family-friendly show here and a little bit of a GM.
With
I mean,
me in it.
well, you know, I'm trying to convert you to be a nice. I mean, you look like a grandpa, so you know.
Dirty old grandpa. Hello.
All right, so Zig, I'm not Zig. To here, you go and you call upon the power of Elal and you heal the wound. The heal wound kind of heals and stuff like that. But mentally shocking, this individual is still like just they're incoherent. They look like they haven't eaten for days. They are normally a tannish reddish kind of color. They are a sickly
Right.
gray, like they've been wandering around like that for a bit. You guys go head out to that one larger building that's up and around. As you come across that building, it's 3 floors tall. The first 2 floors are completely crumbled in, and the entire bottom floor is what's holding up what seems to be the weight of all the stone and the wood and all this other stuff. The doors and the glass windows that are around the front part of this thing have been blasted inward from heat. What door frames there are gone. Inside, you can see the last remnants of what looks like maybe a library or something.
They really have decimated this place, haven't they, Zed?
Mhm.
I mean, they've not even stripped or anything, any documents or anything, or books, because books are expensive.
What did it say when we were coming on the ship? This hasn't been raided.
Yeah, that's what
This
you
is
said.
being
And I'm
completely attacked.
no, it's not that. I'm trying to understand. Is you? This is not my normal. This, yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to work out whether. Oh, I don't know what I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to work out what's going on. You know, it's just
Correct. I'm
freaky.
just doing a full 360.
Okay. Marcus is watching Ziggy at this point because he's trying to understand. Being a bit of a country bumpkin, this sort of thing has never
Something
happened.
comes from the sky. You're going to flee. You're going to get inside buildings. You see buildings destroyed, you're going to get somewhere else.
Yeah, but where would you go into
Look
cellars?
down. Is there a sewer cover?
Oh, yes. Start looking for a sewer cover or
So
drains.
there's definitely storm drains, but unlike what you're used to in Dadura Shiva, where they go into a very large tunnel underneath the city and so forth like that, these are more like maybe 2 foot deep, maybe 18 inches wide.
More like culverts then.
More like culverts that they've overlaid with rock and wood to just keep, like it just runs through. So it's got all these different tracks, but there's nothing that absolutely comes around and says, hey, there's this, right? That you can go down into the sewer or anything like that. This was a, go ahead.
I just thought of something. It's something you have in the States. In the Tornado Alley, you have those like doors that open like that, storm shelters or something, usually on the side of a building, like that big building. Is there like a thing where somebody?
So it goes into a basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that on that building? Because Ziggy said he walked around and he had a look. Did you see anything, Ziggy?
I'll tell you.
Yeah, there was nothing like that here, not for this building.
Okay. I'm going to
Is there any tracks on the floor?
Good point.
There are tracks on the floor, but they are muddled. They are kind of muddied together with the fact that there is a from the amount of soot and other things that have been left in the air and things like that. So kind of like fresh snowfall where someone stepped into it, kind of fills up, but it's not completely full, kind of thing. There are those kind of tracks moving throughout the building. It's hard to tell of what exact size they are or even what species they are. You figure that the ones that are like almost like roundish but large are might be associated with the Bahul species because of their hooves,
Let's
things like
face it.
that.
Something attacked and they just hoofed it.
Right.
Oh, good God.
I really need to get that shock collar on you and have a just.
Yeah, but hilarious. Look at it this way: if he's doing puns, he's staying awake.
It's true.
If he had the shock collar, I could wake him up as well.
Yeah, but if I have a shock collar, you might suddenly find yourself turning into Pavlov.
Pavlov's dog.
You know Pavlov is. If you don't, I'm sure his name rings a bell.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been our show. Thank you again. We'll be back in 2 weeks, hopefully with more puns. My God.
Simon.
Leave it to
dear.
Simon. Ring a bell. Oh my God. All right. So what do you want to do to hear?
This individual in front of me, you said they're saying something in a language.
It's not so much a language as it is just incoherent.
Right.
Right. It's just like a muttering, like you're listening, trying to listen, and they're just like, oh, the dog, it's just this. Their brain and their capability of understanding what's happened to them is overshadowed by the fact that they can't really speak very well. It's more of a traumatic thing than it is a lack of not understanding them.
Okay, I'm going to.
I mean, you can hear
often-
broken common in there, and then some of the language that you assume are Elwinish in that sense, in that kind of sense. But it's just it's incoherent. It's just someone.
often some water, and just sort of like hold out a flask of water to them. I'll take a sip of it first to show that it's okay.
They just you do that, and it's just like they're just looking at you like you don't even exist, right? It's just one of those things that they just
I'm gonna
stare.
Put it to their lips and put a little bit into their mouth, like.
So right, I understand what you're doing, and they don't they swallow only because it's a process.
Reflex.
That's a reflex more than them actually drinking it, right?
Yeah.
I kind of assumed here would kind of like put their paw or the hand up to the backside of the head, kind of tilt it, and kind of gently pour some into their mouth to get them to do something. They don't gurgle and they don't die. They do swallow it, but it's just the only thing I can think of is that you can only imagine that you're probably the first contact that they've had that wasn't.
In at least 6 days.
At least 6 days. Whether it's they've been fending off animals or what have you, but I mean their life has just basically been turned upside down because of what's happened here. Anything else to hear?
It takes 10 minutes to switch out my spells, doesn't it?
5 minutes per PR.
5 minutes per PR. Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna need to do that in a minute because my standard loadout isn't good for investigation. I'm gonna take what's the condition of the temple itself? Is it still relatively standing, or?
It's a burnt out husk, a shell of a building. The roof and everything is collapsed in. Some of one or two of the walls have kind of like melted and kind of crumbled in from the extreme heat and all that other stuff. It's safe in the sense that it doesn't look like it's going to fall, but a good strong wind might cause one of the walls to collapse.
Yeah. I'm going to hand this individual over for the moment to the care of one of the priests. Just keep an eye on this one. Take him to one of the fields outside of town.
How many priests did we actually bring with us, by the way?
There were two. There was a single larger, a more
high-ranking one.
There are a more high-ranking one and a couple of acolytes that were associated with them. You were supposed to bring them here, and they're supposed to investigate and see what's going on. They're still at the temple, kind of like shuffling through things, trying to figure out, where did everything go and things like that. When you get back,
then they're doing the wrong thing right now. Anyway.
Right, they're doing. Just to let you know, the monk, the Taju monk Alar Qualtal is the one that's supposed to be taking over or help you investigate what's going on. They're fairly high, but they're not all that. He's joined by a human, a Manix, and a Leonis Jakara that are acolytes. 3 acolytes that are. You're the only human. You're the only human.
Okay.
It's weird. Humans are rare, but they are the predominant species. But they're rare.
Yeah. But we're rare. Okay.
How can they be predominant and rare?
I don't know.
Because we don't travel as much.
They stay at home.
Can I start sort of investigating along here?
Sure.
I want
Absolutely.
I want to just see what there is along here. I'm going to make my way around this circle, this way round, to see what I can see and see whether I can find anything. That sort of thing.
Right. No, I get you. Let's do this. Here, you take them over to the temple. You've got Monk, Alara there, and the acolytes. They're kind of shifting through things, and finding things. And they look at you in the stunned silence as you bring somebody, and the Leonis, the Jakara, the Leonis one kind of looks at you, bows, and quickly comes over and pulls the Elwyn away from you, and kind of starts. They've gathered up like a small supply of water and some things like that, and starts literally bathing them, trying to get the soot off their face, trying to make them look or feel real again. The other monk turns to you, and they're just, this is horrific. This needs to be reported as quickly as we can to the church in Dadura.
It does. Keep an eye on this person. I'll look for more survivors. I'm going to try and get a head count of the village. How many people lived here, do you know?
There was about 1,500 individuals.
I'm not seeing that many bodies.
You are seeing, so out of the 1,500, you're maybe coming across 150 that are still kind of intact, meaning that they weren't charred, that are deceased. They've got, there's some are holding on to swords, some are, whatever was left over is like the watch for the most part. Mm-hmm. But then you are finding, as you go through all these different buildings and all these different things, individuals that were looking to escape. Some didn't even have the chance to even like gather up anything. They're literally in their door frames, and their bodies, their burnt skeletal bodies are literally collapsed in the door frames as Marcus is making his way through and around. Yeah. So there's you're accounting for a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
This just looks like it was literally bombed from space, and they, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's even the trees. While this map has green trees, even the trees are just wiped off. Right? Sure. They are charred and burned. There are a few spaces where the burning from the sky didn't touch. Right? But even then, it's covered in thick soot. It's a horrific war zone that looks like this was just obliterated.
Can I just ask about some of these people that have been attacked and everything? Did they look like defensive wounds? Did they look like they've been stabbed in the back or in the front, or
yes,
parents holding children? And
I'm not going to get into that far of a description, but those that have actually got weapons, they look like they were defending, and it's hard to, there are defensive wounds, but it's very hard for them to, for you to actually make out where they stabbed in the back or anything like this. This looks like some of those people that were actually carrying weapons were part of the watch, and they were going toe to toe with somebody or something.
This is a massacre.
It's a flat-on massacre.
Yeah, it's a full-on massacre. They're not even taking prisoners. They're literally just decimating everything in sight. There doesn't seem to be any. Does there look like there's been any looting or anything like that?
Hard to tell.
Is it just stuff? It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell because it's fire damaged. It's fire damaged and whatever damage and stuff like that.
The 6 days of detriment and detritus and stuff.
Over 6 days, yeah. I mean, had you been there like the moment it happened, you might have seen some things, even the day after. But this is 6 days later that you guys, or even 7 days, because you finally got to it. So this village has just been obliterated. It's just like I said, it's a complete massacre for such a large village.
It's been nuked from orbit.
Yeah, then we nuked it from orbit and fled. Zig, were you going with Marcus, or were you hanging out with Tahir?
I'll keep an eye on him. I don't want to get into trouble otherwise.
Both of you give me a charisma check. I want to see who finds this.
Okay, one second.
Okay. One success.
Marcus?
I'm just trying to get it to do it right.
Oh, there we go.
65.
You didn't see this. Ziggy,
No,
as you,
I missed by 2.
yeah, Ziggy, as
No.
you're kind of like walking with Marcus and you guys are like just taking in all this horror, you notice in one of the houses that you're kind of like examining as you're walking past it, you find a body. What do you want to do? This one stands out compared to all the other bodies.
It's not like the others.
No, this one,
Why does it stand out?
as you get
Without
closer,
being overly descriptive.
right,
Because you
right,
never know.
right. It's not as badly decimated. In fact, of all the various bodies, this one looks more intact and more fresh than the other ones that you've found, that you've come across. The other ones have got some sort of char marking or some sort of like they've been in touch with the flames, or they've been stabbed. This guy is kind of at the beginning of a building that looks like he was fleeing the building and the building kind of collapsed on him. You guys kind of look at it and he's got the dress of what seems to be a common air sailor, right? You guys were just on a ship. They all have, they have a crew. This guy looks like an air sailor.
So he's able skyman.
He's an able skyman.
Right.
You begin to examine his, look at him from a distance and stuff like that. You notice that on his right forearm is a really well done tattoo of a beautifully colored blue and orange dragon on his right forearm. You kind of see kind of like in his tunic, jacket, vest, whatever you want to call it, looks like there's a small journal in a sense. It looks like it's still mostly intact. It's got a little bit of burnage around it, but it is intact.
I will retrieve the journal. As I'm going in, I'll look back at the big guy. Watch my back.
Yeah, sure. Draw my sword.
Draw my gun. Advance to the journal.
Right, you kind of again. This guy looks like he was on his way out, right? And so he looks like he got trapped underneath there, and you can kind of see where this thing is kind of like sticking out. And you go down and you pick it out, pick it up, and it's like a 4x4 small journal. What do you want to do?
I'll have a look in it.
That sort of size.
Yeah,
Nearby.
something like that. Yeah, about that
Excellent.
size. Check your DM, Zig. That's among the various things. This sticks out to you.
Do you mind if I just go make a cup of tea, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Won't be a sec.
Okay, that
Makes no sense, right? Go ahead and give me an intelligence check, Zig.
Okay. Ooh, 20 with an intelligence
Nice.
of 85.
Brilliant.
So
As you
that's-
kind of like stare at it for a little while, you're used to people kind of you have seen some thieves and criminals kind of keep short notes for themselves, and as you stare at it for a little bit, it kind of becomes very clear.
Right. It's that last section that's confusing me more than anything else now. But I'll put a marker in where it is, and I'll show it to Tahir when I meet him. I'll meet up with him.
Right, and then there's also this portion of it too. God dang it. I forget that I can't take it from one to another. I actually gotta undo it, go to another thing, copy and paste, otherwise it just like it clips it.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, Tahir, what
Yep.
are you doing?
If the survivor's been taken care of by the priests, I'm going to the monks. Sorry, I'm going to head out into the village and see if I can find any more. If I don't, then I will be swapping out some spells, which will take about an hour.
Okay. So how long are you gonna, time-wise, how long do you want to spend examining the village versus the time that you need to do your spell swaps?
I mean, it's not a huge village, so it's probably only going to take like half an hour.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain most survivors will be probably very obvious, and I'll be calling out to see if anyone's still alive.
Right. So you spend about 30, 45 minutes kind of doing this. You kind of see off, on one side as you're passing through, you see Ziggy and Marcus kind of in one area. They look like they're examining a body at some point. Do you want to go over there or do you want to move on?
I'll leave them to it and just move on.
You spend the next 35, 40 minutes kind of just going through, and you don't find any other living survivors. And what's interesting is there's also no animal life to be found. Either that's fled or it's been decimated.
Can I make a survival check on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you would assume this place would be crawling with like carrion eaters. Let me roll my dice.
Hey, Stoic. Thanks for coming over. 28. You're right. There should be crows or other things kind of landing here. The only thing that you can make an assumption about is that the way that this whole town has literally been obliterated, there is a potential essence of evil that is keeping the natural world away.
Okay,
Right?
cool.
Well, we bloody
So this place hasn't just been blasted from orbit, it's been desecrated as well. Fantastic. It's a wonder we don't have a load of undead shambling around the place.
don't give the game master ideas.
I don't need
The
help.
last we want is atomic undead.
Okay, I'm going to swap out some spells.
So you go back to the temple, I take it?
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's probably the best place for it.
After your 35, 40 minutes and stuff like that, the Taju monk has said, well, the Elwyn has come around. They're speaking more coherently and they're beginning to talk. You may want to hear what he has to say.
Okay, yeah, that's fantastic.
All right. Ziggy and Marcus, you kind of are examining the body. You get this. You can see that Ziggy's reading it and he quarries for a second. Then he goes, oh, okay, got it. At that moment, you see Tahir down the road a bit, kind of moving around, calling out for survivors. He does this for about 30, 45 minutes and then begins to head back. What are you guys doing in about that same time frame?
Just sweeping and checking, seeing what we find.
We're gonna keep working our way around the circle.
Okay.
I would say that let's go round, and then if you say there's something we should spot, we'll make a check. I'm also looking to see if there's any more bodies like the one we've just found.
There are a couple of other airshipmen that you come across. They've definitely got defensive wounds on their defensive wounds. They've definitely got wounds of some sort.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is some of these bodies are not. The bodies that you find that look like they've been fighting are not decimated by fire. And the more you look around, you're seeing the sense of this, that there was they did something, then the fire happened, and then these sailors kind of came in afterwards and kind of raided it, and some of them lost their lives to defenders that kind of survived the first attack. And things like that. That's what you're kind of finding is this, and those survivors. And again, there may be real living survivors. They have fled, but it wasn't like this mass exodus, right? The people just ran wherever they could and tried to get out wherever they could. And so you do find a couple of these things.
Okay.
How long do you want to spend doing that?
The 40 minutes or so, shall we say, Ziggy?
After you see Tahir.
Simon.
Yeah.
Do we take 40? Do we take 40? Shall we do the 40 minutes of this wandering around?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Right.
All right. So you guys do that, and that's after you see Tahir, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Tahir, back to you. When you get there, like I said, the Taju monk, says you may want to listen to what he has to say, and he's coming more through, and he reveals his name as Ajmesh. He was a servant to the mayor here, and he vaguely remembers from the event that it was a raid by 3 airships, 2 very large ones, and then a smaller one with purple cells. And when you guys probe him for how many there were, you don't get like an exact number. You get many or lots or the larger number of things, right?
I'm going to it seems like he's struggling with his memory, which is very, very understandable. I'm going to cast 2 spells. The first one is going to be calm. I'm going to basically because that counters the effects of horror and fear. So it'll help chill him out so he can tell his story better. And the other one is hope, which will turn me into a shining golden beacon of hope and light, which I think Tahir is already. And basically, in order to try and basically, it'll give him bonuses on his checks to remember stuff.
Right. Okay. Ziggy, while you guys are moving about, go ahead and give me both of you give me an alertness check. TS, just give me an alertness check. Tell me how many successes you got. You go ahead and cast your spells. Just go ahead and mark down the fatigue for those.
Yep.
We don't need to, you calm his mind, and he's just while he's more calm, he still is stuttering and having issues with giving you a really good description of it.
I'm going to re-roll that one.
All right.
60. I think I'm going to use a thing and do the
You
same
rolled a
thing.
30.
Roll one dice.
You rolled a single dice.
I won't bother spending a penny to re-roll that then.
There we go.
75. Right. And my alertness is 89. One success.
One success. All right.
He's still working mine out at the moment, I'm afraid.
Yours is a 70. You got a 70.
Right. And what am I comparing that against? Sorry.
Alertness.
Alertness.
It's on your skills, first column.
Thank you. Alertness, 82. So that'd be
yeah,
one
so
success.
it would be one success.
Okay.
You guys finally make your way back to the temple.
Yep.
To here, we'll get back to you now. What are you asking of him? What are you trying to get to?
I'm trying to get more specific details. So 2 airships once more with purple sails is like a great start, but like how many attackers were there? Were they armed? Was the warning? Did they try and extort something from the village beforehand? Do they recall hearing in passing any names being spoken?
So let's answer this one at a time. There were 3
Mhm.
ships, 2 very large ones that were used to fire hellfire as though like that of a dragon. Ow,
Yeah.
that hurt. The other smaller ship that had the purple sails kind of hung back for a little bit, and at some point he doesn't know exactly when it landed, and it took dozens of individuals on board in chains.
Okay.
And was took them away. And then the fire happened again, and one of the larger ships landed near like out like where the temple is. It's an open ground, kind of like a field of where things would happen. It landed there, and sailors poured out of it, ransacking as much of the village as they could. They were here for maybe maybe an hour or so, but it's hard to tell. It's hard for me to remember exactly, but they were here for a while. I was fleeing, and I got caught by one of them, and he suddenly looks down and goes, "My arm." And then he shuts down for a minute, and he goes, "I was trying to defend myself, and I brought my arm up, and that's he sliced through it with a sword, and I don't remember much after that." As for the number of I didn't stay around to count each individual. There were lots and many. They were just an overwhelming force.
Were they all wearing? Were they wearing anything that would identify them? Any kind of distinguishing markings, similar armor, or were they a mixed bag?
They were a mixed bag. He takes a second. He stands quietly for a moment and goes, but I think someone said something about the Kasutos or Katsus or something like that. I don't remember exactly what they said. But recently, over the past couple of months, a lot of the smaller villages, not like ours, but smaller villages, have been raided by individuals taking prisoners and then disappearing into the Fire Mountains. We didn't think it would come to Kalor, but it did. And then he just kind of like drifts. He it's like a start-stop conversation with him because of the shock. Even though you've calmed him, it's still really just. It's like he's reliving it in his mind, even though he's calm. He's calm about it. He's very calm about it, but he's he's not like bursting out in screams or air or anything like that. It's just very like that.
Thank you very much. That was very, very helpful. See if you can get some sleep now.
He just looks at you, and then the Taja goes, "I have it," and he goes over and he kind of like places his hand on the Elwyn's forehead, and the Elwyn literally just the Taja captures him, but collapses into this like this just collapses into his arms. He goes, he'll be asleep for several hours, possibly the rest of the day and into the night.
Good.
So we'll.
So then, Marcus and Ziggy, you guys make your way back to that, and you kind of, as you're making your way approach to the burnt out temple, you see Tahir speaking with what looks like a small child, and then a few.
The one he found earlier.
Right. And then a moment or two later, he kind of is touched on the forehead by one of the monk that was with you, the Tajin monk, and just literally passes out into his arms.
Goes to sleep.
And he lays him down gently and covers him up with a blanket or something like that. It's in your hands now.
Okay.
Ziggy.
Ziggy, Marcus, Simon,
Ziggy.
Yeah. So
what did you
I was
find?
thinking on something else.
I think Ziggy found something. Found a couple of bodies that are not the villagers. I don't think they're the villagers.
Think it might have been a sailor. Hand to here the notebook.
Okay.
With the
I have a-
bookmark page for what you sent me.
I'll have a quick flick through.
You basically originally what it reads like this is it reads like I will give you this. Give me a second. That's what it reads to you.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Shall I read it over to people on the stream?
Yeah, if you want to.
LV.pt.goodwins, spelled with a Y, in quotation marks. A date 5 days previous with an entry reading Storm at Al Rad, Mustay ABD. Today's date with an entry reading RD.today, comma, capt.say 10 day to Bport, say few swords.
You stare at it for a little while. Give me an intelligence check.
Is that all of us or just to hear?
Well, if you want to, he's actually reading it and he's reading it out loud now. If you want to make that intelligence check, please do so.
Intelligence is
That's 3 successes.
85.
We're a smart bunch.
85. So 51. 60,
So I'm going with
3 successes for me.
Yeah. So what you guys do when you go ahead. Sorry, Tahir.
Before you tell me anything, I'm just going to tell you my read, and then if you can correct it based on successes, because that way.
Absolutely. Sounds like
Yeah.
it.
So I'm going with the first bit means leaving port with good winds.
Yes.
Storm at Al Rad, must stay aboard. Is pretty obvious. So like they're passing through Al Rad, so they've got to stay on board the ship, I would guess, because there was a storm. Captain say 10 day to port. So 10 days. The Kralis calendar is 10 days, not 7, isn't it?
Say again.
Is the Kralis calendar 10 days? The common calendar.
The common calendar is 7.
7.
I believe it is. Hold on. I actually have to look at that. I haven't. It's a good question.
Mhm.
I believe it's. Yeah, it's 7 days. Well, it's actually 6 days with a 4th day reserved for special days occasionally.
Okay. So I'm taking that to be raid today because RD, I'm just filling in valves.
Right.
Today is TEW day, but
Right.
today. Captain says 10 days to, and then B, I don't know, but port. So is there a port nearby that says, that starts with B?
Not that you are familiar with.
Okay.
It
might
could
just
also be the bad speller.
Yeah, it could just be like B as in BE.
Right.
And then the safe use swords bit, I don't understand. Cool.
After reading that and kind of conversing with Ziggy, Simon,
Fuck's sake.
For love's sake,
We're gonna have to get
you
you a
need
standing
coffee.
desk.
You need to get away from tea and eat some and drink some coffee occasionally.
I can't drink
No, he
coffee.
needs to fucking eat it. Like,
Eat
Tell you what,
something.
I'll just put a line of coffee out and get a straw.
There you
Yeah.
go. That'll work. That'll work. Between you and Ziggy, kind of, and Marcus, kind of all figuring this out. The few swords is their way of saying very little defenses.
okay.
A little, not as, it's very insecure. It's not like, oh, we got to go in there and stuff like that. So how you take that out where you want. You notice that the rest of the journal also notes movement of the ship that the sailor was on from Elred to Kaltor, which is where you're at now, right? And then describes the return route back to Elred. So he's kind of like it's a written map of where they're going to be going next and how to get back to Elred.
Out of character, do all ships have to log with some central government navigation? Like airplanes have to have a flight plan.
No.
Right.
But you can go, like if you're in Dardota Shiva, they will have a record that you left. Where you're going, that's up to you. Just that you left, right?
So
But
this
if we
ship,
knew where the ship was at a certain day, we could get more information potentially.
Right.
so this is definitely a journal taken off one of the raiders. Like they left their dead behind.
Not
That's
just
the
one, but several of them. But this was the only clue that they actually found.
Okay, cool. Right, I want to have words. Take me to where you've marked the bodies dressed as airmen, the ones you've noticed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, follow me. We will walk across the square, across the circle centre.
Yep.
Go up towards the northeast sort of direction of the map.
Simon, are you going to stay
there's a
with
build-
them at the? Are you going to stay with them, or are you
Yeah.
going to stay at the
I'm
temple?
also going to try to stay away. Yeah.
Sit up. Literally, sit up. There you go. Put yourself in a position where you won't be like so relaxed to be like this. There you go.
God, this is uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. It'll keep you awake. I promise. All right. So they take you to. Are you going to take him back to the sailor that you got this note, this journal
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll start with that one.
Yeah, it's you easily make it. It's like 5-minute walk from where you guys are at as you guys cut through the area. What are you gonna do? Plot.
I'm going to check all of the bodies that they've identified as airmen. I'm going to rifle through their pockets
Show them the tattoo on
and
one of them.
identify marks. Anyone that seems like they have like slightly better clothes or better gear.
Well, they are all as you were examining this, they all kind of have the same kind of ruddy gear. They're all kind of dressed in like sailor outfits, but not like sailor like identifying a company, but things that would be more associated with being able to fly in the air, whether it's at high altitude or low altitude. There are trinkets in many of their pockets, some that have been stolen from wherever. Some have pouches, some have bags that they've got, they've got their shoulder bags and things like that they stuffed in from stealing, things like that.
Okay, cool. And just remind me again how rituals work, casting a spell as a ritual.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Give me a second. I gotta look that one up. I hadn't prepared for you for that.
You caught the GM out.
You did. You caught me off site. You caught me off. Rituals. Ritual casting. So that's on page 230. Plot. If you want to look at that. Basically, it's kind of like taking your time that we have. You can't ritually cast spells with a power ranking greater than 9. Ritual casting allows you to take your time on a spell. You gain a +10 for taking twice as it's normal, 20 for 4 times, 30 for 8 times, plus 40 for 16 times, and 50 plus 50 for taking 32 times as long. So how long is the spell? Is it a full action, simple, or move?
10 minutes.
So you could take 320 minutes in your ritual casting, gain a plus 50 to your thing, or you could do 20 minutes, 40 minutes.
40 minutes sounds good. I'm going to spend 40 minutes ritually casting Speak with Dead.
All right, so you gain a plus 20 to your check. Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Speak with Dead. I gotta look up the actual.
Haven't you memorized this system, Levi?
No.
Oh, the Paddington Hard Stare has just come out.
That's why I have a rule book as a reference guide, so I don't have to memorize the book. But it's a good reference guide, so I can go back and make sure I understand everything.
I'm just wondering, since you wrote it, I just assumed you knew.
Oh my God, Simon! When I finally make it over to the UK,
and you see the timid little person that I am,
I'm still socking you. You can cause a single indication answer questions put to it by the caster. And must okay, it does. Targets must yes. The caster may ask one question per 6. How many successes did you get?
4.
So you can ask 4 questions. Be aware that they may come in a cryptic answer and maybe nonsensical. Asking questions about how it died or who killed it may be unclear, filled with confusion, as the last moments of its death are so tragic. Undead creatures are not able to. All right, there we go. Got it. Reference books.
Oh.
See, these are reference manuals.
Yes.
Both of them.
Reference book.
Right.
So the short answer when you ask a question is RTFM.
Read the fucking manual. Yeah.
Okay, so 4 questions then.
4 questions.
What is the name of your ship? Mm-hmm.
You're really testing the GM today.
Yeah, investigative spells always do that, like every single time. When you're playing a game, if you cast a spell that's like, hey, I get these answers, and the GM has to like look 3 chapters ahead, like you weren't meant to know that yet.
And that's why I like the go-through system.
What's that got to do with anything? It's called the Darling. See, I have that written. The Darling.
The Darling. And what's the name of its captain?
That is a good question. I do have that. I just gotta find it real quick. I just want to make sure I get it right because I don't want to say one thing and then okay, so that's that person. That person is that person. Ravnik. There it is. Ravnik. Captain Ravnik.
What's the name of the person in charge of your group? Like your raiding group?
Like, who is his squad leader? Is that what you're trying to ask?
No, like, who's the overall head honcho? Like, there were 3 ships. I've asked for the captain of the Darling, so he's probably told me the captain of the Darling. I don't know which ship that is, but if there's one ship that's leading that little flotilla,
then he would answer it in the way that would say that it was the Darling is the smaller of the 2 ships.
The smaller ship. Okay, so Captain Ravnik. I'm guessing that's probably the boss's ship.
Right. That was the one with the purple sails.
Yep, cool. That's fine. That's good. And
one more.
Where do you take the captives?
Where were you taking the captives?
That's going to take me a second to figure that out. Hold on.
No worries.
Because there's two answers to that. And I don't know if he would know the second answer as much as he knows the first answer.
A lead is a lead, even if it heads
Right.
to a slightly off place, it's fine.
Yeah.
He tells you they were taking the prisoners to Elred, and from there they are dispersed.
Okay.
Because he knows where it's going, where they could end up, but it's also one of those things where they may not end up there, right? The prisoners may not end up there, so it's kind of like a confusing question for him.
Yeah, no. If Alrad is the hub that they're using as their sorting point, that's great. Oh, thank you. There was no mercy whatsoever on Tahir's face as he asked those questions. It was just purely emotionless business.
Makes sense.
Marcus steps back away from Tahir, having never seen this type of face upon him.
Yeah, when Tahir gets mad, it's like, oh, shit. Step back.
Tahir reminds me of my father. When I was growing up in the woodlands, and my father, it's when he started speaking in the slow, quiet voice, and the eyes flashing green.
I'm going to give you a little bit of canon lore plot. It's mostly for LL than anything else. Give me a second. Let me find you again. Where are you? There you are. Just some things I've been kind of
Putting together.
Playing around with.
just some things that we've kind of come across, and then there's this one that I kind of made up the other day for that last one. All right, so you've got your answers.
Love that.
So here's the next question: what do you guys want to do?
We need to make sure these people are appropriately buried.
With this many bodies, it's not an option.
Mass grave?
You're gonna have to cremate them.
Well, even from the mass grave, you've come across 300 or 400 bodies.
Cremation, then.
Funeral pyre in the centre of town.
It will take some time.
I'll see if I can locate a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, it'll take a good 4 or 5 hours to get everybody kind of gathered up. The acolytes will help you, so it's still 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours, and slowly you guys begin building this funeral pyre in the middle of
blade of wood, blade of wood.
Okay. As you guys begin to build this, and once you are done, it is a small hill comparatively of individuals that are no longer on the world, and it's a lot. I mean, if you think about it, it's 300 to 400 bodies. That's a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
Before we light it up, I'll just look to here. You want to say anything before we start?
Yeah. I'm going to step forward and say, Alal, be with your sons and daughters as they journey to your holy land, and be with them, and be with their families and their loved ones in their grief. And I'll be there for you.
I'll be there for you.
I'll be there for you.
And then put the torch to it and set it afire.
Takes a minute or two, but it catches on flame, and the intensity of the heat is just pushes you back to the temple, and it's just this now mountainous flame and smoke as it just dissipates into the
As
air.
Ziggy is watching the pyre burn, he's going to swear a small, quiet oath under his breath. Those pirates are all going to fucking die.
Interestingly enough, as you watch this this massive cremation of these bodies, the smoke, when it first ignited, smoke kind of hit the top, but then there's a point where there is no more smoke. It's as though there's no wind, and it's not the fact that the fire is causing no smoke. It's just like it just disappears at the top of the flames. So this whole thing is there. Make a charisma check, all of you.
Oh, I'm definitely re-rolling that.
Can you just re-roll a luck check?
It's an attribute check. Yeah, you can just re-roll it if you like.
Oh, I've got a 7. No, actually, I'll keep that. It's a 41. I thought I got higher. Somebody else, it was Plot Doctor who got the 95.
Yeah, I got the 95. These dice hate me. 14, that's better.
What did I get?
15, 16.
You got a 70.
Right.
I got 70.
You just have
I
to.
got 3 successes.
This isn't like a success. This is pass or fail. If you didn't pass it, you don't
passed.
necessarily get this.
I got 55.
You feel all of you, your skin kind of you get goosebumps, especially for you, Ziggy, and you, Marcus, who are not really attuned to this, but to hear, you feel the power of Alal here, and as you guys are kind of watching this pyre kind of go up, where the smoke should be coming up, you now see the presence of a being above the fire. It is a multi-winged, faceless individual thing. It has 3 legs, it looks like, and 6 arms.
I will bow very deeply.
Afraid.
Oh. Tip my
Marcus having never had a visitation like this before, stands there going,
You recognize it, Tahir, as one of the archangels
Ooh.
that you've read about.
Candle.
In procedure for this, I'm guessing, is to just be quiet, and if it wants to say anything, it'll say anything. If it just wants to, yeah,
That's a good way to proceed with that. Yes.
yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just bowing low, and when I come up from it, I'll just wait patiently.
I'm afraid Marcus is staring, and
Right.
Marcus's jaw is about down by his navel.
Love Marcus.
The fire burns for the rest of the day and into the night, and is still going the next morning when you guys wake up, and that archangel hasn't moved. The fire has definitely come down as it falls into this ash, and as you notice, when you wake up the next morning, there should be an ash.
Mm-hmm.
There is none.
And there isn't.
There's no ash. Is there still like a burn mark, or is it just like pure grass?
So as it finally burns out towards the end of the morning, just before noon, captain of your ship of the Harrow kind of comes over and goes, they make their way in, and they literally just stand there stunned as they see what's going on, and as the fire finally comes to its end, there is just bare ground. There is no residue, nothing of this particular fire happening. At that moment, almost like a sonic boom occurs, and the archangel is gone.
Tahir is going to walk over to the center of the bare patch of ground, pick up a handful of earth, and put it in a little pouch.
As you go and grab the earth, you feel an electrical power or electrical energy zap your whole hand like this, as though this whole ground has been
Consecrated.
Bag of consecrated earth. I just figured it would make the temple
Make sure
gardens
you've got
grow
that
really
written
pretty.
down. Write that down.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Putting it on my sheet now.
So, what do you guys want to do next? I know we've only been going for an hour and a half, but I know that's late for a particular older gentleman who likes to sleep.
Can't help it. Well, you
Would
get
you-
need to sleep more.
Would you like to end here before we continue and pick up in a couple weeks,
It's-
or what's your? How are you guys feeling?
I must admit, I'm feeling it myself.
Well,
I'm
you've been
struggling a
sick
little
too,
bit.
so I don't, you know.
Yeah, but I'm sick anyway. So, but I was going to say, I actually think this is a good point to stop anyway.
Oh, it is.
because
It's a great point. I just don't know if you guys
it's a
wanted
nice
to go
little cliffhanger
further.
because it's the bit where Tahir reaches down and he grabs the soil in his hand, and you can almost see the blue nimbus around his hands as the lightning and the electrical force is going around his hand, and we fade to black as you see him just pour as his hand just goes like that as it drips into the bag and he seals the bag.
Hmm.
How
And
does
with
that sound?
that, we will say goodnight.
Good night, everyone.
We'll see you guys
Good
in
night,
2
everyone.
weeks. Bye.